Hello, hello. This is a special little treat. If you have been watching for a while, you know that I've been creating some Oracle cards, and it's been for about 2 or 3 years that's been in the process. It hasn't been like 2 or 3 years of constant work, of course, but just flowing and working with the cards and creating them, etc., etc. I will be announcing that this is the final product. So if you have ordered them through the Kickstarter, congratulations, you'll be getting these in the mail soon. I can say soon, they haven't been sent. I just picked them up today, hot off the press, so to speak. It's very easy, great company that I bought them through or worked with to get these. So really excited, this is the first viewing or look at them. So I'll compare them to the prototype, which is the cards that I've been using here. These ones are a little different. These were my original. This is also done on linen, printed on, and I realized that linen is great, sturdy, but also just probably not the easiest or best to shuffle for a majority of people because they're probably used to card. So I did create them with card in this one. Okay, but let's unbox the Journey of the Travelers. So this is the Oracle card, there's me. I kind of like this. I actually put first edition on this just so that if this does get recreated by a company or anything like that, one that I've asked, I guess if someone really wants to copy it and sell it online, they will, right? Can't really do too much about that, but I wouldn't buy it from anywhere like Etsy, sorry, not Etsy, Temu or like, all that. What is that other one? Those kind of ones. Anyway, let's focus on this. So I'll just go through the artwork as well. As you can see here, I kind of did this all on canvas. Super easy spot to do it on. You can get like lines and, get exact measurements. I never used to. I used to just bump it all together, but because we were getting exact, I had to do it exact. And it turned out really, really well. I wasn't sure if I wanted this to stretch over or come in, and it looks like it's come in, which is perfectly fine. It didn't have to go to the edge. It still looks quite nice. Found like a stock image that was free to use on canvas and just put all this together. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. It's even got a little background piece. Kind of put this together as well. Didn't take a huge amount of time, but getting the exact measurements was probably the trickiest bit. Anywho, let's have a look. So just a plain inside. Here are the cards. Obviously, this deck won't be going out to anyone specifically because I'll be opening it. In book as well. So I'll just move this out of the way. So here's the little book. This was my favorite image that was created by the illustrator or by the artist, right? So I've just kept it pretty standard book, white pages. The only thing I would say that I probably could have done slightly better was to move the words into the middle more, but I was worried that if you can't read them here. On this side it looks really good. Just on here I think I could have just moved them slightly, but this is just the Virgo energy wanting perfection. So yeah, I was really excited. Here is all the little bits and pieces. It's got all the cards. It doesn't have a, what would you call it, a contents page. It just goes straight into the cards, which is absolutely fine. This is just how it's been done. But I tried to keep them all on one page or 2 pages, right? So you can have page numbers, but I guess if I didn't do the other part, then it's a bit whatever. But I'll show you the cards anyway, because that'll help explain how to find the message of the cards in the booklet. Just so you know, like if we go here with the Careless Exorcist, here's the story. I've tried to put it into very short terms, but into words that is like telling you the story of the card, right? And also a mind kind of snapshot of where my head was at trying to create this. So it gives you just like a little short story. The representation, which will be, you know, keywords, and then key meanings. So here's a few different types of meanings. This will help you decide, like, you know, maybe just not really tell you what the card's trying to say, but just crack open our mind, right? Sometimes our mind will be will be very close to getting it, but not really getting it, and then a word will pop up somewhere, and it's like, that helps me unlock this, even if the word isn't super related to it. It's just like those slight reminders, like you know, you're trying to think of what to cook for dinner, and then you see a river, and you're like, oh yeah, I was gonna have I don't know, fish or something, right? Something like that. We were gonna have I don't know, chowder or something, and it's like, it's kind of related because I guess there's fish there, but you know, that kind of thing. Anyway, and then some words of reflection. So here with what was this one again? The careless exorcist and doll. It feels really quality too. I'm really happy with this. Reflection says, are you prepared for the consequences of your actions? Take time to reflect on your motivations, skills, and potential outcomes. So it just gives you a differing layer of like how to read, how you could read the specific cards. So it goes down in a flow with many different things. You could get it from here, you could get it from here. It just depends on how your brain works and how best you work with the cards, right? And for some people, you won't even need to read this book. It won't even matter because, you know, you'll have your own way of interpreting the cards. So yeah, that is that. So let's open this. This will be my deck that I'll probably keep. So I've got these wrapped because when they travel, I don't want them to break. I mean, I tried to keep it all affordable as well. But some things you can't really skip on, right? Especially protection of the cards. The box is smaller than the cards, sits in smaller, so it will move around. When I post them, I will try to put in, I've got like polystyrene balls from, not those annoying little ones, but just like kind of like chunky ones, or, you know, packaging stuff. So I'll use those. Either way, they were going to get thrown out, so I'm recycling them. So you could recycle them too if you have ordered them and you are going to get them. Okay. I'll eventually get into them. Okay. So they are the same size as these ones. They feel a little bigger, which is interesting. I did have smoother corners here, or less sharper corners. These ones are still smoothed out, but they're a little sharper because they changed a lot of the systems since I got these original ones. As you can see, it looks a little more tactile, right? Whereas these are a bit more smoother. A little shinier too. A little shinier. But they look great. I think the color's a little bit better looking on these cards because, I don't know, maybe it absorbs it more. We'll go through all the cards. I've made some adjustments. I changed the font on here so it's slightly easier to read, just in case. But yeah, so what I wanted to say with regards to the book, they all come in alphabetical order. Now, obviously, when we're shuffling them, they won't be in alphabetical order, right? But I've also split them. So the first chunk is the, what did I call them in here? The Legends cards. So the blue ones will be the Legends cards in alphabetical order, and we'll get to the back. Doesn't look like I've named these ones, but these are the history cards or mythological cards, and the symbols, symbology. Like in this one, it's the cuneiform. May not be an exact symbol, but it is kind of like a symbol of a specific time, right? When as humans or as whatever we were back in the day. Different races, right? Different countries back then were creating writing in stone tablets. So it does go from alphabetical order to there, and then it goes for alphabetical order for the red cards as well. But just so you know, in case you were thinking, well, it's not an alphabetical order because this isn't at the front, that's why. They have two separate kind of alphabetical orders. Okay. Now, we'll read these ones first. So we've got the abolitionist and feather, justice, individually, respect. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to show you some of them. Well, we'll go through all of them, but I won't read them all out. Just give you a little show. Quite excited. They look really good. This is my first time seeing them. They are a little shiny, but they are matte. They are matte. They're not shiny. I got these. I think there was 3 different kinds that I could get. It was either 300, 350, or 400. I can't remember exactly the thickness of the cards. These ones were in the middle. These were 350, which is like standard tarot cards. To me, it's pretty good. They're not super thin, they're not super thick, but they are probably just right in the middle. They could have gone up to be 400. I think it's 400. I can't remember. I'm just probably saying stuff. But a little thicker, and I think that would have been fine. But that was more for like business cards, and because these are a little bit smaller, I didn't want them to be too stiff and then start to bend when you guys use them. Yeah, these all look really great. All even. This company is really good. It was ePrint Online. They have a store that I went to I don't know if it's like specifically in Windsor, but it's in Windsor, obviously not in the UK, in Brisbane. And yeah, it's north of Brisbane. So it was really cool to be able to not just order something from Australia, right? These are printed in Australia and created in Australia. Don't know if it's from Australian stuff, right? Who knows where the actual card and paper and all that come from. I'm not going to say it's like 100% everything, but it was cool because it was also in Brisbane where I'm living at this time. So yeah, I think they look really, really good. High quality in my mind, right? For something that I could create on a budget without having to go offshore, because I could have gone offshore and created them in China, made them much cheaper. Well, I don't know with how trade is in the world, who freaking knows. But, you know, at this time, it probably would have been, when I was creating them, it was before this year. Lots of things has changed, right? So this looks pretty. Yeah, this one was one of my favorite pictures that Ernest did. He did a really good job. I'll have to message him and let him know that these are created as well. So yeah, and his information and my information is in the booklet, so you can look us up, contact us, or obviously you can reach out here to me if you have any questions or anything like that. I am thinking of potentially going to BlackRock. They are an Australian company that do publishing. I think they get a lot of submissions though, so we'll see, right? I'm not rushing to do this. I want to get this all sent out to you guys first. Everyone that ordered, thank you so much for supporting this project. Obviously, I wouldn't have created it without you. I would have just had the cards that I had, and that would have been it, right? I would have just made my own cards. But it's nice to be able to share them out, and also for you guys to get, like, you know, this I guess like first edition of it. Anywhere else that it gets created will be different because most of the companies create them offshore. They don't get them created in in Australia because of pricing, right? It's much cheaper to order bulk from overseas when it probably costs, like if you're making hundreds, right? You could make them for less than $5, whereas these definitely didn't cost that because I wasn't making that many. But you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, these are looking really, really good. And you know, it's all in the book. There's like a little bit of a blurb at the beginning of why I created them, why you're here to, you know, read from them. I kind of wish this could have been down further or this here, but overall, it's looking really good. I at least wanted them to start on each page. I think the only thing I've missed out is just putting something in here where it differentiates that these are the mythological cards. But it's okay, you know, it's fine. You'll find your spot. I did make it so that it didn't have a contents page. I know that's kind of like, why would you do that? But the reason why I didn't do it in this particular situation was because it was going to make the book slightly too thick, and then it would have been a bigger box, but then it would have been more room, and I didn't want more room in the box if it wasn't going to fit in some people's PO boxes. That would have been, you know, it would have been terrible sending all the way over to you know, the other side of the world to have it sent all the way back, and then you're just delayed. It would have been squishy. There's one deck that I do have that it's been created in a publishing agency, but it doesn't fit closed properly because it's just a little bit over, and you know, it's, yeah, there's that, but then some are empty, and so the cards just roll around in there and they get scuffed really easily in the box. So I didn't want that while sending it overseas, because we know that postage, you know, people don't really look after the stuff when it's in transit. I mean, they look after it enough, right? Especially with good packaging, but it can get a little rough in there. So there's that. But yeah, well, let's have a look at these cards. So these ones are mythological creatures and the symbols or symbology. So here, like the Aswang, which is kind of like a, you know, these are also based off different countries or different areas of the world at specific times. I can't remember exactly with this one, but I'm pretty sure it's Mesopotamia. Here we've got the Philippines. I wanted to do the Philippines because I'm traditionally from New Zealand. I have native New Zealand blood in me, which is Maori. And I did one for the Philippines, which was where Ernest is from. So he is a Filipino / American artist as well. So he's the one that created the illustrations. But here, Pilecitos is a word for, like, I guess when the conquistadors, or like, what do you call them? Spanish colonizers? I don't know what else you would call them. Explorers, I guess they would call them in a nice way. Went to the Philippines and, you know, started bartering and that kind of thing, finding gold, and that was their currency of trade. So some of them are symbology, some of them are even deities or like gods, but they have this their own symbolism, right? So yeah, very cool. And a lot of them where I've got them, when I've picked them up and felt like, oh, I need to do a card based off this, that, or the other, you know, I don't know if I said anything about it in the book, but something like Boitata here coming through, he was one that it kind of popped up in my mind when I was getting connected with, I guess, spirit, and not something I'm usually fond of, right? Fire and snakes, but he was in my house and it was this like big orange snake thing, and I was just like, this is really weird. What is this about? And so I googled big fiery red snake, and then I looked through all the images and I was like, that's it, that's the one. And I looked up and I was like, Boitata. I don't even know if that's how you pronounce it, but that's just what that's what it looks like in English. And I was looking it up and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is what it is. This is what it's about. And yeah, that's how I was inspired by some of these cards as well. These ones were inspired sometimes by video games or even card readings and stories and past lives and things like that. Not necessarily my past lives, but just readings that I've done. And even this one kind of looks like the ones off video games like Final Fantasy Carbuncle, but they're also, you know, when they're based off a video game, those are usually based off real stories or real mythology, right? Real life stories, even if they are stories, right? Stories are stories. So yeah, there was a lot of, I guess, personal kind of like experience or connection. They weren't just random, if that makes sense. They came to me through many different modalities as to why I wanted to put them into a reading deck. This one's really pretty, how he's done the yin and yang through, you know, I love the moon, the night and day, or the complete light here, right? And the sun and the moon. Such a good, smart way of doing this. I had envisions, right? And I sent them through to Ernest to decide what it's going to look like, etc., etc. I just realized this video is going on way longer than I wanted, but too bad, right? You can fast forward through some of it or put it on 2 speed, so I'm speaking faster. But like, you know, he really did a good job at capturing what I had in mind. And he said even when he was creating some of them that he just kind of flowed with it, didn't overly process or think about it. I don't think there was any cards that I asked him to redo or anything. There was just one, but it was just a slight color change. And that was about it. Everything else he did without me really even saying anything or interrupting him, because I sent him like a list of what I had envisioned and he went with that, or at least kind of like interpreted that in a way that was exactly what I wanted, or sometimes even better than what I thought I wanted. So yeah, it was really, really, really cool. This is pretty. This one was kind of funny because I did ask to do the Eye of Horus, but when I got it, it was this way. I could have flipped the image, but I thought, well, no, I want to leave it the way that he created it, because one eye, the left eye is, you know, one, and the right eye is the other. So I made sure when I got it, I was like, oh, this isn't the Eye of Horus, this is the Eye of Ra. So I kept it that. I kept it like that. So sometimes, I don't think even he knows about that, but that's okay. It worked out fine. I wasn't gonna tell him anything if you know, sometimes if things happen like that, I leave it and that's the way it is, right? That's just correct. And this is a beautiful imagery of rebirth, really. Healing, rebirth, transformation, change, out with the old and with the new. I really like those kind of cards, and this really does represent that. The ending of this tower to this rebirth of this phoenix. This was really cool. I think we were asking about it, or we were talking about it, the illustrator and I. I say illustrator, the artist and I. And yeah, we went through it and I was like, trying to get my idea out of my head and into imagery. And this is the only time, excuse me, this is the only time I used AI to like, just put out the words that were in my head and then put it into an image. And so I got the image and I said, I don't want exactly this, but I want like this kind of like theme, right? And then he got it straight away and he recreated it completely different, but exactly how I wanted it kind of like coming through. So that was one good thing. And it was the only time really, you know, I relied on it for any imagery, because he didn't copy and paste the imagery. He actually drew it. He actually drew it out, and he has videos on his what do you call it? On his Twitch page, which I don't know if he saved any of them, but throughout the time he was actually creating them while streaming, so you could see him do them. Like the pictures he has done, he's got all the original, I assume, because I don't. But I got the not printed, what do you call it? I guess photocopied copies of them, and that's how I was able to create the cards. So it was like a lot of adjustments with the sizing too, because they all come through different, right? But yeah, it worked out really well. because I've seen some cards get printed and they are not, they look a little strange sometimes. Not anything that I've done, but just like with other artworks that I've seen, you know, people or spiritual people create like really beautiful art and then it'll turn it into a card, and sometimes they ruin the picture by squishing it really weirdly or cutting off parts of it that were really important. So I wanted to make sure that when I was creating them, that you got the full image, or at least all the image that was needed to be in seen in the card. So that's why these have worked out really well. Speaking of the New Zealand one, this is it. Hey Mato, this is a hook pretty much. It's greenstone, which we call in New Zealand greenstone. We call it also pounamu. We also call it, you'll probably call it in most countries, jade or jadeite or some kind of form of jade, because there's different grades and different compositions depending on the minerals. But overall, it's jade and a taniwha. So, you know, even though it looks like taniwha, it's actually taniwha. WH in Māori is always an F sound. But anyway, you don't have to worry too much. If you say it wrong, you say it wrong, it's fine. Anyway, so this one was something really important to me because I wanted to create, you know, a very kind of like powerful image with something that was based off my country. And this was it. And I had an envision, but I didn't really know how it would come through. And this was definitely a card that Ernest made much better than I thought. That I not thought that he could do, because he's a good artist, but like that I envisioned. So sometimes, you know, working with other people, you really get to see a more expanded idea of what's possible, I guess is the best way I can put it. But yeah, this is great. So taniwha are like kind of like sea serpents, sometimes good, sometimes bad. They're never really like always good, always bad. But I guess like humans, right? Some of us are good and some of us are horrible. So I guess even some mythological creatures can be as such. So yeah, a lot of really powerful imagery. I love this one. It's kind of like a funny little creature because they're not exactly great, but the Sankofa, when I was looking up that, and just the saying of go back and get what's yours type thing, I think there's a proper saying, but it generally means going back and reclaiming, whether that's physically, whether that's also spiritually, whether that's like empowerment, not being controlled by others. So, you know, and jealousy is a good way of identifying that we are allowing others or our control's not there, right? So anyway, I said I'd go through them quickly. I'll go through the last few. Also, because I live in Australia, I had to put an Australian one in here. We've got Yowie. In the background, you can see there's pine trees. They are not native to Australia, and they're kind of not great plants anyway, really, because there's no flowering. They also drop a lot of pine needles, which they're toxic, and it kind of leaches into the soil and stops other plants growing. Not great, right? And so this is kind of like a symbology of there's a lack of ecology. So the mythological creature of the Yowie, which is similar to, I guess, the Yeti, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, you know, that kind of idea, but this is the Australian version, which is kind of interesting that there's still these ideas of that being around in many countries, right, that haven't been connected or like the people haven't been connected for a very long time until, you know, more recently with globalization, global travel. So anyway, yeah, this one has come through as like the environment's been changed too much, and it now starts to like become unbalanced or dysfunctional. So yeah, cool. Yeah, and they all have links to different countries. All the red ones, they'll have different countries, different beliefs. Maybe not the unicorn exactly, but just, you know, a lot of them are based off many different cultures, countries, mythologies, etc. So yeah, these are the cards. Okay, I wanted this to be a short video, but it is almost half an hour, so I'm gonna leave that there. You know, if you're waiting for your cards, I will be in touch if I don't have the details. Otherwise, I will let you know when they're ready to be sent out. And obviously this will be probably updated on the page where you're getting the cards from. But I just want to say thank you for everyone who's supported this project. Also, everyone who comes along into the streams as well on Twitch. It's really nice to see you all. I love reading for you all. Even if it's the same kind of different messages, same kind of thing, like, you know, it's fun to just like look at everything in a different day, because everything changes day by day. Our minds change, we grow. It's really, I don't know, it's really, really nice to connect with people in that sense. Excuse me, I've got like a craggy throat at the moment. All right, but I'm gonna leave that there. So thank you. Thanks for watching. Take care, look after yourself, and I'll see you next time.